Good morning everyone and welcome to this video. To realize our project we will need to know some Angular functionalities. In the first step we will see the structure, and in the second step some directives we will need. To learn more, we will look in detail at all our files when creating an Ionic project. For example, my folder is called Angular Test. It's a blank project that I just installed and created. So first, we have the subfolder HUE, and inside we have files. This folder is useful for everything that is unit test. We won't need it. It's not the subject of our course, so it won't be interesting. It's for doing functional and integration tests. Then we have the Node modules folder, Node module that we have installed before. And we have source. Source is in this folder, where we will use it to work on developing a project. Inside this folder, there is an app component by default with all the files, for example, CSS, HTML. So this is SCSS. To have more packages, we also have the TypeScript file. So for example, we have the file approuting.module.ts, which will allow us to do routing. Then we have the file app.module.ts, which is the heart of our project. Inside, we will be able to enter the modules that we will need via Angular, which is separated by several modules that we need. We also have the folder environment. Inside we find two types of files, a prod, which is here, and a div. So simply to develop, and the second prod, which will allow to deploy in production. We have a file index.html in the Angular, which contains only one page in our project. We have the main file right here to be able to launch the application, the CSS for the style, or you can also import Bootstrap, and also the test file for unit testing. Then we have angular.json, which is the Angular CLI configuration, which allows to create a lot of things with all the tools inside, everything about the Angular CLI. We also find the karma.conf.js file for the unit test, the necessary packages, so to install the libraries, which will be integrated in this file with the dependencies. We also find the file config, which allows to have the information concerning the TypeScript. So we have seen the necessary functionalities according to the files. Now we will see the directives that we will need. Now that we have seen in detail the functionalities of our files, we will see together some Angular commands that we will need for our project. So we'll have the command ngf, the ng4, the ngModel, and the click. So all these are called directives. So we're going to see first the ngf. You can see the little star in front of it because it's an arbitrary syntax, so that Angular knows that is a structure. So if you forget it, it won't work. This directive comes from the command module that you find with all its modules that you create via this command module. We'll see how to use it. Here is our example case. Here we have a component with two properties, a boolean of value true, which is stored in is user logged in, and we have a character set, a string which has the value John Doe, for example, which is stored in user full name, and which indicates that the user is connected. We will display the name of the user if it's connected. If the condition is user login is true, the name of the user will be displayed, otherwise nothing. What I advise you to do is to create your properties first, which contains the condition you are going to test. Why? Because your code is very often evaluated by Angular, and for it to be well updated, it will go through your condition and test it, retest it, retest it. So this is an example of how to use this directive. Now we will see ng4. This directive allows to close an array and to eject the elements in the DOM. It's possible to get other information such as the index of the element. So there, for example, we have the ng4. We are going to search for the index. We are also going to search for first or odd. Inside this list, we did ng4, let book of book list. And inside, as I explained to you, we are going to retrieve all the elements. Now let's move on to the ngModel. So we have the ngModel, which is a built-in directive that creates a form control instance. In other words, from the domain model by bidding to a form control element, It binds the value of HTML control to the application data to perform bidirectional binding with input select selectoria via an ng model, which is used to store everything you created in Angular and group them together. So here, for example, in this example case, I'm going to insert an input concerning to the to-do list where it's going to retrieve all the tasks that we have entered. With the Angular framework, it's possible to develop a web application or a website entirely without using other tools or languages. The framework applies the MVC model. The controller sends the information to the view that displays it. It's by using this relationship that we can call a function when an element is clicked. However, the notation is different between AngularJS, the very first version of the framework, and the following versions. In your code, you must use the event by indicating between brackets. Click. This is the same type of notation for all events in Angular. The rest of the writing is identical to the classic HTML code for a click on a button. On the other hand, this is all we need for this project. If you need detailed information, I advise you to read the official documentation. Here is the link. Anyway, there is nothing better. I don't advise you to go on forums like Stack Overflow, where you can exchange and ask anyone about your request. But everyone has a typical problem defined that may not correspond to yours. That's the first point, and sometimes the date of the post to which you want answer and dating from a year or more. And it takes little time to have an updated version and therefore different in time. Forums are good, documentation is better, but this is a personal conclusion, so I put the link below. This video is coming to an end. Now we're ready for a project. Let's go!